Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this double ZZ gatefold card. Gatefolds normally meet in the middle, which this one does, but it also has the fold back, the ZZ fold element to it. And the nice thing is, sometimes personally I struggle for masculine cards. I sometimes think, well, perhaps guys don't always want pink and girly and flowery. In this unisex world, that's not such a bad thing. I love pink. It's one of my favourite colours. But you get the gist of what I mean. Sometimes it's nice to have just a little bit more serious. So this paper in the January to April mini catalogue fits this bill so well. Here's the one that I used. And also this stamp set, which is in the same mini catalogue, I just love it. There is Simply Said, which those of you who watch my videos often know I love this stamp set because they're just basic words and the fonts are really lovely. This one is pretty much sort of a bigger but the same kind of theme. It's got the little icons that go with the greetings. So I thought, like I say, I would kill several birds with one stone. I'd be able to use the new product to show you this really cool fun fold and highlight some of the extra things. And I know sometimes I've used, when there's only been one of something in a special pack, I've done a same but different version. I'm actually going to do that today just to try and highlight two of these lovely plaid papers. As you saw in the pack, there was plenty of this design left, but I just wanted to show you that whatever you have, you can mix and match what you've got to the basic concept. So I'll pop that one off to one side and bring in the ingredients. So these are they. It's a piece of 4 1/4 by 11 and it's scored at 2 3 3/4 from each side. So let me go ahead and fold that back on itself. And then what we have to try and do is get these to meet as much in the middle as we possibly can. It doesn't matter if there's a little gap because we're going to be covering it with the greeting on the front. It's just to get the basic idea. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Again, it's one of those things where it falls in the paper trough. This one met a, well, nearly almost smidger exactly in the middle. And this one, as you can see, has got the little gap. But like I say, it really doesn't matter. So that's the 11 by 4 1/4 folded. And it all gets matted onto a piece which is 5 1/2 by 4 1/4. I was forgetting myself there. And then the front pieces, it's 4 by 2 3/4. Then it's 3 3/4 by 2 1/2. And then it's 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. All these dimensions, of course, are always on my blog. Sometimes I'll say 1/4 1/2 and correct myself, but whatever I type on my blog is the absolute for sure guaranteed measurement. So without further delay, there's one little piece left for the inside, which is 4 by 3 1/4. And then of course there is the designer series paper. So let me get this stuck into the middle. Just fits in there nicely, and then it closes in. Now the designer series paper, because it's plaid and it's got a pattern, you need let me just find out which is the way around it goes. This is the way that it goes, and these are all the pieces are 4 inches tall. These two pieces are 1 3/4 inches wide, and these ones are 1 inch wide. I did cut them all out of one piece of paper. Somewhere along the line, the side pieces, it doesn't really matter. My point being, when you have the two front pieces, cut them one after the other so you've got a match-up of the pattern, because that can really matter. So what we'll do is we will stick the 1 inch panels on the side. I did actually toy with the idea, because it's pretty on the other side, was to just turn it over, but I thought I would go ahead and showcase the plaidiness of it because it's just so nice. So we'll stick these really close to the edge on each side. Again, making sure you've got them oriented the right way up. Sometimes the pattern has a flow. In this instance, there is a line that you can see goes across. And if this had turned over, that dominant line would have been down here on one of the pieces. So just to note to yourself, if your pattern's all higgledy-piggledy, it doesn't really matter. And then what we have to do is we have to get this onto here equally between these two pieces. And the way I found easiest to do that is to put adhesive on the back, and then to actually, it's going to go like this onto the piece, but I found it was easier to do it standing up. Not me. Sometimes I do that, but just to stand it up, because then you know these pieces across the top and the bottom are going to be equal. And then you can just sort of, I'll do it on a slant, and then I'll have to move it away just so you can see that they're being eyeballed equally between these two pieces. So I know they're going to fit top and bottom because everything's tapped against the ground, as it were, and then everything is on. So we've got a nice centered piece with the two ZZ fold backs. And then what we'll do is, again, making sure that these pieces have a flow, is we'll go ahead and stick these where they belong. On their relevant side. So that one goes like that. And that one goes like that. And that is the body of the card. Then all we need to do is make the front. I did have a little piece I was trying out, Wink of Stella, but I didn't really think it, I wasn't feeling it, so I changed my mind. So we're just going to layer the pieces onto each other. So I'm layering the early espresso with Pebble Path, which is one of the in colours. And then we're going to stamp the greeting. Now, you know, usually when I'm doing my paper pumpkin, it comes with a little spot, and I'll say, but because I've got the big stamp pad, I'll use that. And then occasionally I do it in reverse, just to show you how effective the spots can be, even when it's a big stamp. So the happy birthday is quite a large stamp. So the trick is, rather than tap it onto the stamp pad, what I'm going to do is lie it down with the face of the stamp upwards, and then I'm going to tap the ink onto the stamp. Because I did it with a pink or a red ink, red based ink at some point in time, it dyes it like a pretty pink colour. It does not affect any subsequent colours you do it with, but it does leave your polymer a little bit coloured. But in this instance, that was a handy thing, because it meant I could see when I'd covered it all, because all the redness was hidden. So there we have a nice early espresso done with a little ink spot, and it inked that stamp up just the same, just as well. And then what I'm going to do is, while I've got the early espresso out, I'm going to use the cupcake, which clearly wasn't done with anything red in a previous life, and we will stamp that on the inside of the card, so it just gives it a little edge. And then what I was going to do on this one, I actually stuck little cork sequiny bits on, and again, saying that it's masculine and I didn't want there to be sequins, these little cork elements have a bit of a ruggedness to them. And I didn't have anything that went with these colours, so what I did was I took a star out of Iconic Imagery, this little hollow star, and because we have a layer of Pebble Path, and Pebble Path is in the plaid, I thought I would put some stars on here like this, and it just gives a little bit of extra rather than it being just a plain happy birthday in the middle of nowhere. And then we can go ahead and stick this on. And then using our famous ZZ fold trick, this piece is going to reach across, but of course you can't put adhesive everywhere, because if you did, you would glue your card closed. You only want adhesive on the left-hand side. So if we flip it over, we can see where the seam of the card goes, and we know only to put adhesive up until that point. So when we flip it back over and we stick the card on, hopefully straight, because it's hard to do that without getting my head in the shot, it's only going to be adhered to this side, and then the card will open. So there you have it, two the same but slightly different. I think it probably just needs a good crease with the bone folder. So it's two the same, very lovely, if I say so myself. It just gives us something that's not always so floral and fancy. As I said, all the directions and dimensions will be on my blog. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Give me a thumbs up. That helps my algorithm stay busy so I can bring more videos like this to you. If you've got any questions or comments, pop those in the box below and I will always get back with you. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching.